All right, folks. Thanks for sticking around and listening. We know you love this geeky stuff just like we do. So I didn't have a post show written because I thought we were going to go into a deeper dive on some of the subjects that we talked about during the main show. So I left this open. But Greg says he wants to jump in and host and do the post show this week. So let's see what he has. He has a surprise for us. So I'm looking forward to this. Let's jump into it.
All right, we're going to have to come up with a name for this because I think this is something we could do on a regular basis.
Okay.
Maybe like, how old are we really? Or let's show our age, something related to being old. So
Right.
you talked about the Atari, right? And so there's a whole retro thing. So I actually have two of these prepped. So we'll see how long this one takes. But if we like this one, I'll probably save the second one for next week. But
Okay.
so tying in with that, I found an article that's the 15 best retro video games of all
Okay.
time. Okay. So
Is that
I'm
the
going to
first link?
No, you don't click on it. Don't click on nothing.
Okay. Okay. I'm not
No,
clicking. I'm not clicking.
no clicking. So I'm going to tell you the game,
Okay.
and then you're going to tell me, did you play it?
Okay.
What you played it on, and whether you liked it or something about it, right? So
Okay.
this is really going to tell people how old we are, right?
Right. Right. I'm ready though. I'm ready.
All right, you ready for this?
Yep.
Pac-Man.
Okay. So really weird story. I don't want to make this go too long, but I have a Pac-Man arcade, a full-size arcade, right? Um, my wife and I would play it from time to time, but we're not really fans of Pac-Man. Our
Oh.
generation, we grew up playing Miss Pac-Man. So Miss
Okay,
Pac-Man
okay, okay,
is
okay.
is both our favorite
Which
and
is really just Pac-Man with a little bow on the top and pink around
right
the lines.
and a little faster, a little visually more appealing to us, you know. I know the kids are going to be like, it all looks like crap. What are you talking about? But no, it looks different. Um, but yeah, so some of the game mechanics and stuff in Miss Pac-Man, uh, we fell in love with playing. So Pac-Man, I played it originally played it on some arcade somewhere, and again, I have a full
That's the
arcade
key
cabinet.
on an arcade.
Right, right. That was my first time playing it. But if you ask me and my wife, we're fans of Miss Pac-Man. That's our generation's Pac-Man, and we love Miss Pac-Man. So,
All right.
what about you? That was the first
Yeah,
time you played it?
it would have been
Because
on
you
an
had an
arcade.
Atari. You told me
I
you
did.
know your
I'm
grandpa
sure I
playing.
played it on Atari, but I remember playing it at arcades. So I grew up not where I'm at right now, and there were two places that had arcade games.
Okay.
One was a pizza place, and the other one, well, they were both pizza places, put it that way. But one was kind of a more general pizza place, restaurant kind of thing, and the other one was Pizza Hut. Back in the
Right.
day when you actually used to go sit down and eat pizza.
Right.
I remember
When
having
the
one of my
pizza was good.
yeah, I remember having one of my birthday parties at Pizza Hut where everybody got to make their own personal pan pizzas. So they let us go back in the kitchen and put the toppings and stuff on it. That was really cool. But I remember
Right.
playing Pac-Man and several others, including the next one I'll ask you about, on a physical arcade cabinet.
Okay.
By the way, total sidebar, since you live in Houston, in the Woodlands, if it's still there is an arcade in the Woodlands in one of the strip malls up there. And you pay, I can't remember how much it is. You can actually buy a monthly pass, but you pay like $15 a person, and you can go in
Okay.
and you just play. Everything is, there's no coins, right? Everything is just turned on. You just play. And I'll bet it's got 150 arcade cabinets
Okay.
in it. Super, super cool. So yeah, way, way, way fun. And they have food and all that kind of stuff. And my wife and I would take the kids in there and they'd disappear and play everything. And I'd go play track and field a little bit. And then she and I would sit at the NBA Jam
Right.
cabinet because that's the only game she knows how to play. So, all right, here's the next one. And this is good because there's a remake of this that just launched or is about to launch on the Switch, which I think I'm going to have to buy.
hmm
Donkey Kong.
Okay. So the first time I played Donkey Kong was it had to have been on a Nintendo at home. It wasn't a that wasn't an arcade first for me. And yeah, it had to have been like in the early 80s. So mid 80s. Yeah, I'm old.
So Are you? So have you seen the new Donkey Kong and Mario that's come
Yeah,
out?
yeah. I've seen some trailers of it.
Yeah.
Not too interested in it though. Not too. It uh, don't get me wrong. If I ever get the opportunity to grab one and play it, I'll play it. But not something I'm going to run out day
All
one,
right.
like
Well,
Zelda or
I'm
something like
probably going to
that.
get it. That one and the other one I'm excited about, which I think comes out in June, is Luigi's Mansion 2. Now,
Now that one
have you
looks good.
have you played the original Luigi's
Yes,
Mansion? Yeah,
yes.
that was super good. So I'm not a fan of the ghosts in the Mario games. How you have to stare at them,
Right, and
that
you
kind of
turn
stuff.
and they move. Yep.
I didn't like that sort of gameplay, but Luigi's Mansion was phenomenal. It is Mario games in general are the ones that I'll complete, but that is one of the few that I played through and completed the game. So I'm looking forward to that one to come out too.
Yeah, I think a
All
lot
right,
of people are excited for that one.
yeah. This next one I have not played that I can remember. So Resident Evil.
Resident Evil. Oh man, that is so. When you talk about your top five games of all time, right? I have two Zeldas on that list. GTA, uh, Fallout 4, and Resident Evil, that original one. So this is one of my top games of all times. So this was my introduction into role playing and strategy games on this type of scale. So to give you an idea, I remember telling my son about this too a few months ago. He was asking about it. I remember being stuck on a part, on a puzzle or something for a month. Not anything, and this was before you can jump online and go through. There was, we had the internet and stuff, but I couldn't uh, go online and figure out a puzzle or whatever to get answers to it. You had to play it through, and I would be stuck on a part for a month, for weeks and weeks and weeks, and we'll say I'm just going to backtrack and just make this thing simple and just go back to the beginning. Maybe I missed something, and yes, I would find it, and it was always the most obvious, simplest thing that that solved that part of the puzzle that I was missing. So yeah, Resident Evil, one of my top games. Played it first on that original PlayStation, the PlayStation 1. And yeah, yeah, awesome game. I recommend it to everybody. Now the series has went on and had many different versions, but and also some HD remakes of those first three. But that original Resident Evil is a game that's very near and dear to my heart. So I love it. So if you never played it,
No, just not my
yeah,
thing. There's a
yeah,
few, combat kind of games that I've played. I don't think Mortal Kombat's on this list, but I played that one a lot.
right,
And then some army kind of games, but it's just not been my. I haven't bought Star Wars Battlefront on the Switch,
okay.
and
I hear that one's really good too. So if you
yeah,
ever want to dive into it, I don't think you'll be disappointed unless you're just not in that gameplay
yeah.
style.
I mean, I bought it, played it, got through a few levels, and then just hit a part where I'm like, yeah, I
Yeah,
don't care. So,
yeah.
all right, next one, Metal Gear Solid.
So Metal Gear was one that I never picked up that game from the very beginning. It has its fans. I think when it got to PlayStation is when it really started picking up its part of its fan base and things. But um, never really got into it. I'm familiar with the story, but not a huge fan of Metal Gear.
Okay, Galaga.
Galaga originally played it on the arcade.
Yep,
Always loved
yep,
it. Always loved all the different knockoff versions of it. When they um, open up like the app stores and stuff for these different devices, there's always some kind of clone of Galaga in those. So that's
yep.
something that I'll always play all the time.
Yeah, and Space Invaders is later on the list, so I kind of lump them together, the same kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
But I remember when we would go to those places that had the arcades, my mom and dad would say, I'm going to give you 2 quarters, so make them
make them
last.
last.
And these are the kind of games that I would pick to play, right? Because I knew I could
Yeah,
play and play and play and play. So,
yeah, you'll get the most out of it. Yeah.
yep. All right, I'll see if you did the next one. I think you'd be surprised that I played this one a ton. GoldenEye 007.
Yep. Oh man, that was a game on Nintendo 64. Uh, Yeah, that was a game. Me and my friends, we poured hours into that, and that was the first before Halo, before of course before Call of Duty and all of that. This was the first, where you can compete,
Yeah.
first person shooter where you can compete with each other, and yeah, we poured hours into this game. I loved it,
Yep.
and the mission too, the solo mission. Played a lot of that. That was a really good one.
All right. I'm gonna lump one on here, but Monkey Island 2 is the one that's here, and then I would also say Monkey Island.
So Monkey Island, I'm not familiar with this. And this is on the list of the best games, the top games? Yeah.
So I
No,
played the
I didn't play
original
that one.
on PC. So this was one of those where you'd have to actually click on talk or push or hand or and click to go different places. It was almost like touch screen, but I played it on PC at my grandparents in Colorado when we would go down there. I would sit and pore over Monkey Island for hours trying to solve the puzzles. It's kind of a puzzle game.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so the logo,
yeah.
I recognize the logo. I
Yeah.
recognize the logo. I just don't remember. Nope, I missed that one. I've never played it.
Super Mario World.
Yep. So when I think back about, my childhood and stuff, this was a huge part of it. Like my Saturday morning routine, um, actually from like Saturday to like Sunday night when this game released was spent playing Super Mario World. It was so much to do, so much to um, so familiar from the previous games, but so much new stuff and new game mechanics added to it that yeah, this game is definitely part of my childhood. I could just think back to my big bowl of cereal and playing playing
Nice.
Super Mario World. Like it's just part of my childhood. When I think about being a kid, that comes up is remembering playing that game and Zelda and other stuff like that. But yeah, that was a huge part of it.
All right, this one might be one where you played on a different thing, but I skipped Space Invaders by the way because we talked about it, right? So,
Right.
Tetris.
Yep. Tetris is, not one of my favorite games, but it's been a game that's been with me every step of the way through my life, right? Because you played it originally on whatever device. I believe it was so my first system was a Nintendo. I had a Nintendo before I had an Atari, but I ended up having it, playing those games too on the Atari. But I mean, it was on every pocket PC, every device that we got, right? Every cell phone, no matter how low tech that cell phone was, it was always on it, right? Every computer, every this game has followed us all of our lives,
Yep.
right?
Well, so I played it on Game Boy, the original Game
Okay.
Boy, not the
Yep.
color, right? The
Yep. The
the
black
one that
and green.
you'll laugh that the Game Boy took a swim when I was a kid. Just so you know, I
So
actually,
you have a history of
yeah,
of
yeah.
drowning devices.
But what I think is funny is that my wife on her iPad has a game. My 2-year-old grandson calls it Blocks, and he begs to play Blocks. And it's
Yep.
just a version of Tetris. It's actually one where you can't turn the shapes; you just have to place them as they are. But yeah,
Okay. All right.
so it's still there, and he is still playing it.
Yeah. Have you seen the movie? Because
No,
there's a pretty dramatic story behind the creators of this game and licensing and stuff like that. So
no, I'll have to do that. All right. In the interest of time, I'm going to skip a few. I've got two more for you.
okay.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Frogger.
Frogger on any updated systems, including the newer ones that are in the App Store now. But
Did you
yeah,
play it on
nostalgic
arcade
game.
too?
I don't think I've ever played it on an arcade. At least I don't remember any of the arcades that I regularly went to having a Frogger cabinet there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
was there one at your local
Yeah.
at the pizza
I
place?
played it on there, but I played it mostly on Atari. And the new one, it's in Apple Arcade now. Frogger in Toy
Right.
Town. I actually played that. It's pretty fun, but there's just something about the classic square bits, square pixels, Frogger jumping across stuff that's just not the same. I mean, the same thing. There's things like you've got Pac-Man, all this stuff. So,
Yeah,
but some of these games, I mean, they were just meant to be played the way they were played.
I think so. I think so. I know they try to update them and they make them look so flashy and smooth and colorful, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's just something about playing these on the original, how they were originally intended.
All right, last one, Jason.
Okay.
Ocarina of Time.
Yeah. Yeah. That that's on my list of all time great game. In my top five, you know. Um Ocarina of Time, there was nothing as far as the Zelda game, there was nothing like that before. There was some good ones before. And really nothing like that since. Now there's been better ones, right, with Breath of the Wild and stuff, but yeah, Ocarina of Time is just a crazy game for at the time, right? It's kind of a for somebody to go back and play it now without it being, um, a updated HD version. But man, another game I can remember pouring hours and hours and hours into, and just being hooked on the story, right? Not just playing it because it was fun, but playing it because you wanted to unlock these different game elements and see what's next in the story and further the story along. And you're playing as Link as a child and as an adult. And this game is credited with splitting the timeline. So there's a big gamer, like, it's not conspiracy theory, but a big gamer debate on which games fall in which order on the timeline. And this game is the reason why the timeline splits into two, because there's the child version of Link and the adult version, and there's some kind of alternate universe where the child grows
First
up and
introduction to the multiverse, right?
right. That's
Marvel
our
did not come
introduction.
up with it.
They didn't. So if the adult Link actually lost to Ganon and and what happened in that timeline, and what happens if you defeat Ganon and then you go back to being a child, and then the story progresses after the defeat, and yeah, a huge game as far as gaming goes, but a huge game that affected the series and again the timeline and just the lore of the game. Some of the 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 story and plot lines in Zelda introducing an Ocarina of Time has spread to other games. You know, even some of the ones that are outside of those original timelines. Some of those uh, uh, parts of the Zelda lore has spread. So yeah, really good game, really impactful to the gaming industry and to the Zelda franchise. So yeah, can't say enough about that game. I really love it.
All right. Well, those were the ones I pulled out of there. Do you have? I have one that I want to mention, but do you have any others that you would throw on this list and tell me
Yeah,
about?
yeah. So surprisingly, of course, GTA, which is another game that was really big for the industry, and the new one, of course, the one that they're currently working on got leaked, and it was a big thing, and it forced the company's hand, and they had to release trailers and information about it and stuff. So people are dying to get their hands on the latest version. But GTA is another game that I would figure would be pretty high on that list.
They
Um,
might not consider it retro enough.
Yeah, yeah, because it's not what it used to be, and even then, I think the original one came out in late '90s or early 2000s. So yeah, it may not be considered retro, but what is the one game I'm thinking of? Gauntlet. Gauntlet was one I played on the arcade. I played it on on home systems, and I play it on my iPad now. You ever play Gauntlet?
Let me look it up.
So it was one where you were a wizard, either a wizard, a warrior, a dwarf, the same Lord of the Rings kind of Tolkien kind of set of characters. And yeah, you just go through these mazes and try to figure out these puzzles and stuff to try to progress through these different levels. Uh, yeah, that was a game that I've always loved. That one, and I'll end with this one, Golden Axe. So Golden Axe is another game that I've literally paid for multiple times in my life. Now I know we always talk about Nintendo. How do they keep getting us to buy the same game over and over again? But Golden Axe is one. I've bought it on Sega Genesis back when I was younger. I've bought it in like when they do these Sega like compilation disc sets on like the Xbox where they release like that and like 5 or 6 other games. And I bought it again on the iPad.
Yeah.
So Sega, just like Nintendo, has somehow got me to purchase the same game over and over again throughout my life.
Yep.
So yeah, Golden Axe is another one I think should be on the list if it's not already on the list. What about you?
I mean, this is why I buy the Nintendo subscription, is because then I can go into the NES, the 64, right, and I can play
Right.
all of those games. I have not upgraded to their new advanced subscription, which would give me a few more things.
Yeah.
But so one I'll mention two, but one of them I play. I'll just get a hankering to go in it, and it's actually not on that subscription, but I play Contra
Yep.
all the time,
Yep.
right? Which is where the
The
cheat
original
code.
one.
This is where the cheat code comes from, right?
Yep.
And
That old
the cool thing
Konami
is
code.
it's the first one that I bought. So my grandma I think I told this story, but my grandma bought me the Switch for Christmas the first year I got laid off. And
Right.
she's like, there's no game with this one. Are you sure this is the one you want? That's what she was telling my sister. And the guy at the store was like, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
And so, because it came with like a $10 credit on the store. And so I bought Contra. And it's got all the versions of Contra. The other ones aren't as great. The arcade version's not as great, but it's the original Nintendo version. So I play that. I'll just play that a ton. And my goal is to always go through the whole thing without dying once, right? So I
Right.
actually don't use the cheat code. But so that's one. But then the other one that I have some fond memories of, when I think it was the first summer I moved when I was a kid. We had to move to where I live now, and so I didn't really know anybody. My dad had already been here a year teaching school, but another wrestler that I became friends with had just busted his neck in a
Mm.
match, and so
Okay.
he was wearing a halo and couldn't do anything.
Right.
And so I spent most of that summer in his basement playing Double Dragon.
Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot
And
about Double Dragon.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Playing Double Dragon, and this is going to be really bad, but playing Double Dragon and listening to the Wilson Phillips CD. Just hold on for one more day, right?
Right, right.
Yeah, so that's what we spent most of that summer, because I didn't really know anybody, and summer's not really the best time to get to know a whole bunch of new friends, right? So that's
Right.
what I spent that summer doing. So I have fond memories of that. And every once in a while, it is on the Switch on one of those services. And every once in a while, I'll pull it up and go, why did I like this? How did we spend that many hours playing this game? But
Yeah.
so those are
Yeah.
my two. Yeah.
So yeah, I really love this stuff. I mean, gaming is such a huge part of my life, and it's crazy because my sons, they love it just as much as I do, and I've never tried to like, hey, let's play games. I mean, we play games together and stuff, but I never tried to like make them like video games. They just
Right.
naturally love it. It's just
Yeah.
always been a huge part. So I could talk about this for hours. Hopefully this segment didn't run over as long as you wanted it, longer
No,
than you wanted it to.
I think it's great. So one of the reason I came up with this is, we're kind of leaning into this whole grandpa's thing, right? And
Right.
not that we have a choice, because we are.
Yeah.
So, my grandson just turned 2, and that was a whole thing. And so I thought, we're leaning into that, but also we want to make the show that we want to make. And I thought, well, we don't have anything today. Let's try something new. And I have another article. It's not the same. It's not video games, but it's something else. I'm going to hold that one
Okay.
for doing this another time. But yeah, we'd love the feedback. If y'all like this, if you just like hearing about some of this kind of stuff or having us talk about this kind of stuff, let us know, because I love having this conversation, right?
Yeah.
And so we're plenty old. There's plenty of history behind us, so
Yeah.
we can pull this stuff out. So I'd love to hear that. And maybe for next week, Jason, you can come up with one that we reverse the roles or something like that. If not,
Right.
then I've got another one that I'll throw out there that I think will take us back along memory lane. So
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And feedback or not, I don't care if these guys like it. I had fun. We're
that
gonna
was
we're gonna
fun.
do that again.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly, right?
But yeah, let us know if you guys enjoyed it, and also too in the comments, let us know what you think. What games did we miss? What games that you want on the list, and share a story, a brief little story. I know it's just a comment or whatever, but share it with us. We'll love to hear it.
Yeah, articles like this we should check out. Any of those kinds of things. So I think I had fun today overall
Yeah,
in the conversation. This is one of the most fun conversations we've had, I think, mostly because we didn't have to worry about getting information across or doing any of that
yeah,
kind of stuff. So if
yeah.
y'all like it, let us know, either in the comments or reach out to us, because love to hear more of what you want us to do. So
All right, folks. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. And this was, like Greg said, a really fun one. We really enjoy these conversations. And, him and I, we get together and we talk about this every week. But like I always say, join the conversations. Let us know your experiences. Let us know if there's a topic you want us to talk about, or a device or gadget or something that you found that you love that you want to share. We'll get the word out there for you. So just share it with us, and we'll share it with everyone else. So that's all I had this week. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
all right, thanks everyone.